So great, I don't have a mark on my face, and my upset started listening, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with me, ain't no matter if you're against me. I still got the world. I still got the world. I still got the world. I still got the world.
I said, can I be a legend? Search your soul and answer me this question. Do you think I have what it takes to be great, but still be humble and learn from my mistakes? Shit.
So great, I don't have a mark on my face.
Good night, everyone, and welcome back to another live episode of This Just In. Tonight, I am very welcome, a special guest and good friend of mine, Nick Matt, producer of radio show The Rain Show FM. How are you, Nick Matt?
Hey, how's it going, Justin, man? Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to be here and talk some football, man.
Of course. So, as usual with all of our guests, you have to declare your hand. So everyone knows I'm one of the biggest Packer fans in the world. So, Nick, who do you hail for and why?
I'm a New York Giants fan, born and raised in New York. My entire it's kind of a family thing, man. My dad, my mom, my stepdad, they all took me to my first Giants game. You know what I mean? And my first football game ever was a Giants game, and I've been through so much with the New York Giants, the ups and downs, and it's a loyalty love thing, man.
Oh boy, it has to be loyalty. At this point, Nick, it really has to be a loyalty because this season must be hard for you.
The past few seasons have been hard. I guess you could say ever since that infamous boat photo that it's been really tough times, man. I mean, from Odell leaving to all the ups, to all the downs. I mean, there hasn't been any ups. The offensive line problem, the quarterback issues, you name it. It's just been hard to watch. And I for
Saquon's two injuries.
Like Saquon, you just know that things would be a little different, maybe a little better if we had a running back, an all-world running back like Saquon Barkley in the backfield. But, it's like you said, it's just been tough. So
we're gonna jump right into it. As you spoke about your Giants, this is the perfect segue. The NFC East is on the line, and your Giants are actually still in play to win the title. The only way that anyone from the NFC can get into the playoffs. What are your predictions? Because for me, it's so funny. I had Dallas so out of it. And right now, I think that Dallas are the favorites to win that NFC East.
I actually have to agree with you, and it burns me to say it because I hate the Cowboys. Obviously.
Who doesn't, right?
But being a Giants fan, I hate them even more, than the normal haters. But I just think they're playing the best football right now, and it's all about who gets hot at the right time. We've seen it time and time again. These teams that can get hot at the right times, and Dallas is doing it right now. And the Giants, just 3 weeks ago, we were talking about the Giants possibly running away with this division because of how good they looked in Seattle. And then we're talking about Washington, and Alex Smith goes down. Dwayne Haskins comes in and lays 2 eggs in a row. They release him today. I mean, it's just been a craziness in the NFC East, but right now, it burns me to say it. Dallas is the most consistent. The Giants' defense has not been as inspired. The Giants' offense is the worst offense in the league, statistically, the worst scoring offense in the NFL. So I think that they're going to have a tough time with Dallas next week, and I have nothing to leave me to believe that Washington will beat Philadelphia either.
I completely agree. So I like to do things by a process of elimination. So when I looked at it, and I'm asking myself, which quarterback would I want in a winner-take-all game right now? Daniel Jones, no. So sorry, Nick, but I'm not going with Daniel Jones.
Me neither.
A second-round rookie playing his fourth start? Probably not. And then Alex Smith coming back 2 seasons shy from that devastating leg injury. I'm not quite sure. I mean, if you look at careers, probably he's had the best of the lot. But the reality is, and this is the one move that looks good on Jerry Jones' part, having a guy who's won 2, I think, AFC North titles in the division that has Pittsburgh and Baltimore, having that guy in Andy Dalton there, right, to who was supposed to be backup, but right now is steering the ship, and with weapons such as Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, C.D. Lamb, I absolutely love C.D. Lamb, and say what you want, but Ezekiel Elliott on his day is still a good running back in this league. I have to trust that team. Like, granted, as I said, like nothing. We spoke about this off air. This is a divisional matchup, so anything could go throughout the records. Although all the records are really bad anyway. But like, yeah, I trust that team more so than anyone. And Jalen Hurts still has something to play for because, like, let's make no mistake, he is trying to prove that he is a starter going into next season.
Right. Well, let's be honest here. I mean, Dallas is just proving everybody wrong. And that, Andy Dalton's job as a leader, I mean, he's done his job, excelled at expectations, exceeded expectations when he's filling in for Dak Prescott. I mean, look at all the things they've won in spite of Ezekiel Elliott's struggles and turnover issues because he's lost the ball at a ridiculous rate this year. It's all coming.
None of us.
The injuries on the offensive line, the injuries on the defense, the absolutely horrid play by the defense for more than half the season. And Andy Dalton is still going out there and finding a way to win these games and keep them competitive in games. I just think that they are the most set up to win, period. The Giants, again, lost 3 in a row after that big upset win in Seattle. And to think all they needed to do was win one of these games, these past 3 games, and they'd be in first place. Now, it's kind of crazy because the Giants, week 17 can end up making the playoffs, or they can end up with the number 3 overall pick.
That's so crazy, right?
That is the most insane stat I think I've ever seen. It's going to take a lot of help. I think there's 5 or 6 teams that need to win if we lose. But still, it's just crazy to think that we're probably going to end up with a top 10 pick, but we could also go to the playoffs.
So to sidebar a little bit there then, Nick, let's say for argument's sake that you don't get to the playoffs. Are you taking a quarterback, say, because obviously you can't get Trevor Lawrence at this point. Let's say Justin Fields is hanging around there because the Jets are the Jets and don't do what they're supposed to. Do you take Justin Fields, or in your assessment, would you want to go after Justin Fields?
Well, I've actually been on record to saying that I'm more impressed with Justin Fields as a pro prospect than Trevor Lawrence. So I'm actually on that side of the coin. And I only base that off a couple bad games that Trevor Lawrence has had. Don't get me wrong, he's a great talent, but I think he's overhyped a lot too. Like, people are acting like Trevor Lawrence is some kind of football Jesus, right?
That would be me.
I know, but I'm just not buying into it yet. Like, let's see. I'm not rooting against him. I don't want him to get hurt. I don't want him to fail. But let's see this kid, step on a pro field. Still, right now, he's still playing against other kids, right? So
Agreed.
I just want to see if he can keep up with the speed of the NFL. It's a completely different ballgame. I mean, that national championship that they lost to LSU and Joe Burrow, that was where I saw Trevor Lawrence exposed. That's where I saw his inaccuracy when he was put under pressure, how they contained him in the pocket. That's where I can see him struggling in the NFL. If defenses read that game more, that's where I see Trevor Lawrence struggling. And for the Giants, I'm 50-50 on Daniel Jones. Where I give him a break is that he's on his second head coach, second offensive coordinator in the 2 years that he's been there. At some point, you got to give him a break for that, but at some point, you can't make the excuses for some of his decision-making either. Now, I realize his legs haven't been a part of his game, and all the times, that his legs were a part of the game was when they were winning.
Right.
He was ranked 1 or 2 rushing quarterback in the league, I think, at the time before his injury. So that's a big part of his game as well. I mean, but if Fields is there and you feel like he could come in and do a better job than Daniel Jones right away, then yes, you take Fields. But if Joe Judge believes in Daniel Jones, you stick with him for one more season.
I'm on the fence, just like you, actually, oddly enough. And I think it's because I've not seen enough Giants games to have a proper assessment of Daniel Jones. The few I've seen the talent. I can see why Dave Gettleman kind of went for this kid. I can see the talent there, especially as you said, as a dual threat quarterback. And I could imagine the problems that it could put on a defense if Saquon wasn't hurt. I could see that two-headed monster really causing problems, running a lot of RPOs and that sort of stuff, read options.
Exactly.
If Saquon was there. So, like you, I mean, I'm 50-50 because I'm also high on Justin Fields coming out of this draft. And my issue is, because I'm going to get to that later on, a surprise AFC team who I think should take Justin Fields, by the way.
Okay.
My thing is, I think I would want to see another year, especially with Saquon first, to make judgment on Daniel Jones. But are you in a position where you can pass up on a talent like Justin Fields? I don't know. I don't know if I'm the general manager that's going to risk my job and not take Justin Fields. I think highly of him like you do, not as high as my guy Adam. Adam loves Justin Fields. But in a league that we realize you can't win without a quarterback, I don't know if I can pass on Justin Fields if I have the chance to draft him.
Another interesting name in the draft, though, but beyond Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, is Kyle Trask. Now, personally, I don't believe that Kyle Trask is even a first-round quarterback. I mean, and that's just me, but other people are talking like he is. Now, I also heard things about Justin Herbert, and we all know how well Justin Herbert has done this year. I mean, that kid's incredible.
I'm going to tell you this now, right? If there was a surprise this season, Nick, for me, Justin Herbert is it. I did not see this coming.
I'm actually on the opposite side of the coin of you. I called it. I called Justin Herbert was going to win Rookie of the Year. And I actually called that he was going to take Tyrod Taylor's job, too. But no, I didn't call it the way he took Tyrod Taylor's job. But, dude, the Charger struggles are not on Justin Herbert whatsoever. That kid has done everything he possibly can. Anthony Lynn's got to go. Get this kid a coach that can develop him in the right way, period.
No argument there at all. So I want to get to then, because we've spoken of NFC East and their whatever path to the playoffs you want to call it. But for me, the real head scratcher is what's going on in the AFC. We have, I want to say, 5 teams tied at 10-5. So somebody with 10 wins, possibly 11 wins, is going to be left out of the AFC picture. We're talking about, let me see if my memory serves correct, the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, Tennessee Titans, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Miami Dolphins. So I'm going to put you on the spot because we like to put people on the spot on this show. Who is the odd man out, Nick?
I got to say it's the team that needs the most help to get in, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. I think they missed their opportunity this past weekend by blowing a lead. They could have had the division right there going into week 17. And I think that was their opportunity, which is crazy because this is why I love the ebbs and flows of the NFL, because just 6 weeks ago, I'm talking about the Colts being a dark horse in the AFC.
Yep.
And now I think they missed the playoff. And that's just because they need the most help. All the other 4 teams, all they have to do, they're in control of their own destiny. All they have to do is win this game. So do I believe in the Colts defense? Yes. Do I believe in Phillip Rivers in crunch time? History tells me no. So.
And I'm on record on this show and other shows saying I think the Colts missed a trick at the trade deadline, not going for either Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford. I really think that they missed a trick. I understand the 1-year financial commitment to Phillip Rivers, but it's just 1 year. And I'm a guy, Neil will tell you, everyone can make a mistake. We're human. The problem is doubling down on a mistake. And Phillip Rivers is clearly a mistake. You made a mistake, no problem. Acknowledge it as a mistake and move on and trade for either Matt, whether it's Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford. And I prefer Matt Stafford, to be quite honest.
I actually think what Colts do in the offseason is I think they are the team that acquires Carson Wentz. And I think Carson Wentz reunites with Frank Reich. And maybe they can produce some magic together. Because if you remember, Carson Wentz's quarterback coach during that great span was Frank Reich.
Right.
And to me, Frank Reich, I think, was really what led that team to where they got. I mean, that offense to where they got, at least. because as we've seen since, Peterson ain't that great, So
I'm with you, and yeah, it sounds so weird that we're agreeing on everything. I believe that it is Frank Reich more so than Doug Peterson, and I do believe that that's the combination that's going to end up. I think that's an error, though, by the way, not because of his talent, more so because of his lack of leadership skills. To air the comments that you have so far saying that Philadelphia has done you wrong and not take accountability of you being benched because of your piss poor play, yeah, that was the end for me. I know the talent is there. I think that on his day, Carson Wentz is a top 10 quarterback in this league, but you have to be a leader and you have to be accountable at that position. And those comments afterwards and demanding out of Philly and saying you're not going to be a backup as if your play justified you to be a starter, like, hell no.
No, after I heard the comments specifically by Miles Sanders, and then I went back and watched the Jalen Hurts' first start, and I've watched this team since, and I've seen how inspired they've played behind Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz is done in Philadelphia, period. And like you said, it's a leadership quality, it's a maturity thing, and I hope he gets there for the sake of his career, because as we both said, he is talented. The talent is there. And I think it's a lot of a mental thing that he has to overcome as well.
I am completely with you. Does he get... I mean, I think Frank Reich obviously knows the kid, knows what he can do with the kid. But, yeah, like if I'm Philly, I'm getting rid of everything, including him. Yeah. So I've veered off topic a bit, and so let me get back to that. No, it's my fault. So that AFC race, if you had asked me that question, like when I was doing my prep about an hour ago or so, I would have completely agreed with you because the Colts are a team that needs help. But again, like I say, I always like to do things by a process of elimination. So let's go through these games. There's no way the Ravens are going to lose to the Bengals with an AFC spot in line. That's not happening.
No.
I don't think the Colts are going to lose to the Jaguars either. And the Jaguars are not trying to win games, not with Trevor Lawrence right there for the taking. Hell no. They're not the Jets. No, I mean, no one really is.
No.
Then there's one more certainty for me. Hold on. What is that other game? Oh, I'm missing it right now.
I believe it's Miami.
Hold on. I know I'm going to get to those two teams right now. I don't think the Titans are going to throw away a chance at the division by losing to the Texans. Although the Texans have everything to play for because their pick is tied up with that Larry Tunsil trade, I think. So they don't even have their own first-round pick. So I don't see the Titans losing that game either. So for me, it comes down to two very pivotal games. The Browns versus the Steelers and the Miami Dolphins versus the Bills. Now, with Kansas City winning on Sunday, it kind of also leaves the Bills and the Steelers with nothing to play for because there's not a second bite in play. So what's the difference between second and third, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing, especially when you don't know who you're going to play. So there's nothing in second and third. So it would tell me that, the Dolphins and the Dolphins and the Browns should be safe, right? And here's where I don't think so. So I expect the Bills to wrap up against the Patriots quite easily, leaving them with absolutely nothing to play for against the Dolphins and probably rest their starters, they're going to rest everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Steelers probably do the same. The only thing is, the Browns have a boogeyman in that Steelers, and that defense, if there's one thing the Steelers defense can do, they can stop the run. And the strength of the Browns is in that running game. We sat down and watched this weekend alone when Baker Mayfield was asked to drop back 50-something times, and I don't know what Kevin Stefanski was thinking. What is going to happen? We've seen what's going to happen. That was 3 fumbles and an interception, if my memory serves me correct. I have a sneaky feeling here, Matt. The Cleveland Browns are going to lose Pittsburgh Steelers, who are going to actually play some starters with pride and respect on the line because it's just the Browns. You don't want to lose to the Browns in that division. I have a sneaky feeling, I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, because like you, if I had to put money down and say everyone wins out and the Colts just don't get in because everyone wins out.
Right. I can see your point with that, actually. That you make a very great point there. I didn't even put those things together, but like you said, I mean, I don't know what Stefanski was thinking. Why are you dropping back 50 plus times with 3 receivers on the COVID list? And when you have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and you're playing the Jets, throw some screen passes. Like, do something, but that's where actually Pittsburgh has been lacking, in my opinion. I know they can stop the run up the middle, but on the outside, since losing Devin Bush, since losing Bud Dupree, since losing Spillane, who was doing a great job filling in for Devin Bush, they haven't been great to the run on the outside. If you remember specifically that Washington game, that's how Washington won the game, was screen passes and runs to the outside. So I think, if anything, that's the weakness. So if the Browns can attack that, they might have a shot. Now, again, we're asking Baker Mayfield to step up and do a lot too. And like you said, there's a boogeyman in Pittsburgh when it comes to Baker Mayfield. Now, the only other team besides the Colts that I actually sing the playoffs, I'm going to put it on the Tennessee Titans, and here's why. You like to use process of elimination, and I want to use the same thing. I want to look at the defenses of all these teams and which defense I trust the least. And that's the defense I've seen shredded by 41 points from the Browns, 40 points last night to your Green Bay Packers. And that's the Tennessee Titans. This is a completely different Tennessee Titans defense than we saw last year when they were hitting their stride going into the playoffs. At times they can look great, and at times they can look like Swiss cheese. So that Houston offense, obviously hurting right now. They are pissed off. J.J. Watt is pissed off. I think they're going to go after Ryan Tannehill, and I think they're going to go after Derrick Henry. Not that they're going to stop Derrick Henry, because there's not many people who can. But I could see the Titans blowing this one as well. I could see that defense, laying an egg. We've seen it a few times this year.
I didn't think about that, and I should have, because they just, as you said, fresh hours from torching that Tennessee Titans defense. And I want to say, go Pack, go to everyone who doubted me. And I mean you, Joe Murley. I really do mean you. Yeah, so you asked me about a quality win. Well, there you have it. There is your quality win that you're asking for. But yeah, I didn't think about that. You're absolutely correct. And let's not make any mistake. Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in this league. So
yeah,
I can see a situation where, yeah, he does go after that defense and torches them. And whew.
I mean, what Watson has done this year has been nothing short of remarkable, man. With all the things he had to go through from preseason to now, with all the things he's gone with his coach, losing Hopkins, losing David Johnson. Right, Fuller, and getting suspended for, it's just been insane for for Watson to put up the numbers and had gone on the run that he went on. He went on a streak. I think he threw 17 touchdowns and no interceptions. I mean, in a 5-game stretch or something, I was going off with what? Nothing. And, like you said, he's a top 5 quarterback. Very, very underrated and less talked about quarterback in the league, for sure.
Yeah, I think if he was anywhere else but Houston and under Bill O'Brien's general managing, that's probably some of the worst general managing I've ever seen.
I'm a Giants fan. You can't convince me of that.
No one is trading DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the best receiver, no less than top 2. No one is trading DeAndre Hopkins, and no one is trading for David Johnson. So sorry, I've not seen general managing worse than that.
Oh, you're right.
I don't know, but that is I can't wait for Sunday, because the AFC picture is going to be absolutely wild. With you, if I had money to bet on it, and I don't bet, but I really should, it would be the Colts, because I see a situation, everyone winning out. But I have a sneaky feeling, and this is the NFL. I've always told Adam, you have to pick an upset every week. And I believe somebody is going to get an upset. And I just think that when you measure up everything, I didn't think of the fact that Bud Dupree and those outside linebackers are missing. So indeed, yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers may have a problem with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb bust into the outside. But mark my word, everyone is not going to win out, Matt. Just remember I told you this. Somebody's going to lose, and it's going to be a team that they should not have lost it.
You know, and I can definitely see what you're saying happening down to a T. But also what we have to take into account is with this Steelers, Browns, and Bills, Dolphins matchups is something that we alluded to in the beginning of the episode, that these are division matchups. And you have to remember that these are men on this field, and they got pride, and they don't want to they don't want to finish a regular season on a loss to a division rival that grants them a position in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So the Steelers and the Bills are definitely going to fight in there. So I look for those to be hard-fought games and fun games to watch. So
you brought up a team that I wanted to segue into perfectly, Matt. Those aforementioned Miami Dolphins, which have been a bit of a head scratcher for me right now, because it seems as if they are prioritizing making the playoffs over the development of Tua Tagovailoa. So the first question of two I'm going to ask you, do you agree with the philosophy of Brian Flores and the coaching staff?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. I'm like, and I was on the fence, saying not on the fence, but I was on the side of Brian Flores is my coach of the year. And then what I've seen him do with more than once now with Tua Tagovailoa, with benching him at the first sign of a struggle for Fitzpatrick, and one time it didn't work out when, you know, the other day it just happened to work out on a lucky no-look face mask pass, one of the craziest things I've ever seen, but only Ryan Fitzpatrick, right?
Only Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I mean, no, I don't agree with what they're doing at all. I get that you want to win, and I get that your fans are excited about this team, and I get that you want to go to the playoffs. So this also tells me that you believe in this team and that they can make some noise in the playoffs. I don't think a lot of people would agree with that, but if that's the philosophy that they're preaching, then by all means, go for it. But don't do it at the expense of who you are projecting as your franchise quarterback. Don't do it at the expense of his confidence. Don't do it at the expense of his development. And having a young quarterback has to lose. It has to happen. You just have to be unsuccessful in order to be successful. It's a rule that goes beyond just football, right? You have to fail in order to. So what they're doing is like they're trying to almost. I feel like they're a mother with their newborn child, and they just don't know what to do. They're afraid that it's like glass, and if they drop it, they're gonna break it. It's just figure out what you're doing. Come up with an identity. Get an identity with this team, and go for it. Period. And if you win the playoff spot with Tua, great. If you lose it, you could build on it for next season.
And that's my thing. No, if you're going to take him with the number 5 overall pick, that's a very big commitment. So you're basically saying this guy is a guy for our future. And we've known what the situation is or has been in Miami since Dan Marino. Like, they've been looking for that guy ever since. And you've sold me, or you're trying to sell me that this is the guy, because early on, you told me when you benched Ryan Fitzpatrick and everyone came down on you, you were saying, this is the guy, we're not trying to see what we have in him. This is our guy going forward. These are your words. Fine. As you correctly said, it can't be at the very first sign of trouble that you're going to pull him, because then how do you develop a young quarterback? Like, this is the NFL. This is not Pee Wee football. This is not college. This is a grown man's game. Like, you will have problems. Like, this is, in my estimation and the estimation of many, the hardest position to play in all the sports. Like, what do you expect? Like, the speed difference is huge, even though Tua made a stupid comment and said, this is not harder than he thought it would be, but I don't know.
Yeah, of course, the start to his career that he had was great. I mean, he started out 3-0, and that's awesome. And then at the first sign of weakness, I believe it was against the Broncos, the first sign of bad play, I think he had an interception, or I don't even think he had an interception. I just think that they were sacking him a lot. I think they had him 6 or 7 times sacked. So if you want to come out and say that you're protecting him from injury because you couldn't block their defensive scheme, then say that. Then go with that. But the other day, when they played the Raiders, I don't get the decision making behind it. I don't get taking this guy out and putting him back in as the starter the next week, and then it's almost like you're telling this guy, I don't know if I believe in you or not. You don't have any certainty behind him, and that's going to share a young man's confidence.
So here's where my surprise thing came in, right? Because I'm with you, and it is either that you are gunning for the playoffs and play for Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I have absolutely no problem with. If that's what you're doing, then fine. Or you're playing Tua and seeing his development. So this move, the only way this makes sense, right, Matt, is if you are telling me right now you do not believe in Tua. And if you don't believe in Tua, then here's my thing. And I mentioned it earlier. Here's a surprise pick. You're going to have a top 5 pick because of the Larry Tunsil trade. Then if this is the situation you're doing Tua, draft Justin Fields.
Ow.
Draft Justin Fields. If this is what you're doing, yes. I thought about this long and hard. And if you honestly, this is what you're doing, it tells me you don't believe in Tua. And here's another shocker for you. I no longer believe in Tua either. I think I've seen enough. There is not enough arm strength. There's not enough zip on the football. He doesn't do enough. And I've watched Tua his entire career at Alabama. I haven't seen him in high school, obviously, but this is a guy who has had, 4 major surgeries at the 2 levels before this one. Tells me glass. Miami is treating him as if he is glass. And then what I'm seeing on the field is not, like, let's take, for instance, we mentioned it with Daniel Jones. I can see the pop. I can see the talent there. I can see what made David Gettleman go out and get him. I saw Tua at Alabama, and I can understand why somebody took him number 5 overall. I don't see that now in the NFL. I honestly don't say that. And I don't want to knock a young fella because, like, there's a lot of career left in Tua Tagovailoa, obviously. But again, remember I said this, I can't see myself as a general manager. And Justin Fields is on the line, and I don't have a certainty at quarterback, and I let him go. If I am Miami, and this is how I'm viewing Tua Tagovailoa, I'm doing one of 2 things, Matt. I'm taking that pick, I'm packaging a couple other picks from future drafts, and I'm trying to get Trevor Lawrence. And the Jags will be smart enough to say no. Then I'm trying to move up, and I'm getting Justin Fields.
Wow, I'm going to call that a Justin bomb, man. It's like a Woj bomb, but a Justin bomb. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. The only reason why I say that won't happen is because I think Brian Flores and the whole Miami Dolphins organization are coming to the realization that they have to live and die with this decision to take Tua Tagovailoa. Like you said, they used the number 5 overall pick on him. They have to. They have to live and die with this decision now. And I think that, unfortunately, they're going about it the wrong way in the first season of his development. And they're only hurting him. They're only hurting his development as an NFL quarterback. Now, I agree with you. I saw flashes of greatness at Alabama. I didn't think it warranted being taken before Justin Herbert, but that's because I was a big Herbert guy before he hit the NFL. However, with Tua, like you said, he's not doing a lot in the pocket. He's not great at throwing on the run. There's no, like you said, the arm strength just isn't there. The accuracy just isn't there. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I don't trust them, but the Miami Dolphins, I think, have to live and die with this decision for at least next season. I don't think they can risk the backlash that would come with getting rid of Tua for Justin Fields, just not even a full season into Tua's career.
I agree with you, Matt. But here's I live and die, and Neil will tell you this. I agree with making a mistake. I don't agree with doubling down. And I'm not saying here that Tua Tagovailoa is a mistake because he could pan out to be a very good quarterback. But this likens me, I like to think back of what Arizona did. A couple of years ago, they took Josh Rosen, number 10, in that huge 2018 draft. And they quickly realized how big of a mistake that was. Now, instead of doubling down on that mistake and refusing to acknowledge it, they said, and they played the press extremely well. They knew all along that they were going to draft Kyler Murray, but they said all the right things. Josh Rosen is our guy for now. We're sticking with Josh Rosen for now. And then the moment they got the chance to draft Kyler Murray, bam, got him.
Right.
And I'm not likening Tua Tagovailoa to Josh Rosen. Now, hell well no way. Like Josh Rosen is complete utter trash and garbage. But if you know, and I'm saying this is what bad general managers do. If you know that this is a mistake, and I'm not saying Tua, but if they feel in their hearts that this is a mistake, then I believe, and you have a chance to correct that mistake, then move on.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that the way they've been handling this shows me that they don't know if they made a mistake or not.
And that's
because they've mishandled this situation so poorly. You have to see how Tua Tagovailoa handles losing, for Pete's sakes. You know? What are you going to coddle him every time he falls behind in a game? You have to. That's part of a quarterback's growth is you have to grow from failure. Period. Every quarterback would tell you that. I've never played quarterback, but I'm sure every pro athlete would tell you you have to grow from failure. So I just feel like Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins, they don't have a grasp on what they want to do because they're not allowing themselves to see it.
And I'm with you, like, just make a decision already.
Yeah, go one way or the other.
Just make a decision, and it can't be at the first sign of trouble. Oh, well, we have a playoff spot to go for. Let's bench him. Speaking of playoff spots to go for and quarterbacks who need benching, Matt, the Chicago Bears are in the driver's seat for the 7th and final playoff spot in the NFC. In your estimation, do they get in, or is it the Arizona Cardinals?
Can you remind me who are the Bears up against this weekend?
I don't have to remind you of that. We have to travel to Soldier Field. The Packers. You knew that already. So yes, we're traveling to Soldier Field to play the Bears on Sunday. And
you know what's crazy about these two teams, the Bears and the Cardinals? Again, the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of the NFL season. This right here is why I love it. 3 weeks ago, I would have told you the Arizona Cardinals are going to the playoffs. I think we all would have. But who's the number one offense in the NFC and the NFL in December? The Chicago Bears.
It sounds so weird for anyone to say that.
I mean, and this is an organization, that's built on defense, right? We all heard all about the defense coming into the season, and the defense is what's been keeping them in the race this season as well. But Mitchell Trubisky's got to get a little bit of credit. And you know who else has got to get a little bit of credit besides Allen Robinson is my man Jimmy Graham is rejuvenating his career out there in Chicago, man. I'm like, what is going on? Who thought that Jimmy Graham would be catching touchdowns with Mitchell Trubisky rather than Aaron Rodgers? Right?
I was so glad to see the back of Jimmy Graham, and the early part of this Chicago team was like, well, you see why we got rid of him, and now all of a sudden, as you correctly said, you're catching passes from Mitchell Trubisky, but not for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God! But you know what I gotta say about this is, it depends what Green Bay wants to do. Green Bay, I think historically, and correct me if I'm wrong, historically Green Bay does like to rest their players at least for the second half of games when they've have a spot clinched up. I know that they're playing for the number 1 seed, and to go through Lambeau and to have a bye week would be huge. I mean, the Packers are already my Super Bowl pick. Little preview for later, but if
we have to get you on the show again,
if teams have to go through Lambeau for the entire playoffs, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that in the winter in the playoffs. I mean, I will flash back to when the Giants did beat you in the NFC Championship, but
Brett Favre's Brett Favre's last game in Green Bay, indeed.
Yeah, yep. And I think Lawrence Tynes missed like 3 field goals before he finally hit the game winner. Like kicking a rock in like -20 weather. Anyway, between the Cardinals and Bears, getting back to them, at this point right now, the Cardinals are on a downward decline. Kyler Murray has been, since that Giants game, has been super inconsistent. That offense can't get anything going. The defense getting shredded. And I knew that the defense was going to be a problem the minute they lost Chandler Jones for the season.
Yep.
That defense is just completely different without Chandler Jones there manning the ship. So I can't believe I'm saying this.
Me either.
I'm taking the Chicago Bears.
I think both teams are going to lose because I don't know who plays at what time in the NFC side of it. So I think up until that game, I think Green Bay will have everything to play for, especially Aaron Rodgers. No matter what he says on Pat McAfee's show, Aaron Rodgers wants that MVP. Make no mistakes. He knows all of his milestones. He knows all of his records. He's a guy who knows everything. So he wants that MVP.
Right.
And he said it countless times. He wants, yes, there are no fans, but as you correctly mentioned, our home field advantage is damn cold. It's called the frozen tundra for a reason, and I have been there for 3 cold games, and I can tell you, Matt, it gets cold. So
in Canada, you don't have to tell me how cold it gets in Wisconsin. I'm a little north.
I keep forgetting. So, that is our home field advantage. So they will play. They have everything to play for. And fun fact, a lot of people don't know, Aaron Rodgers has played 4 NFC title games, none of which have been at Lambeau. None. So he wants an NFC title game at Lambeau. But at the same time, the Los Angeles Rams want to, they have to get in the playoffs first, because they lost the division. So they have everything to play for. You correct that defense, without Chandler Jones, this season has been terrible. And now Kyler Murray is getting exposed. I see both teams losing, and the mere fact that, right now, Chicago owns the tiebreaker. Chicago's just going to back right into the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see the Rams doing anything either, and here's why I say that. Jared Goff broke his thumb. Jared Goff, even if he plays, is going to be a worse version of Jared Goff than the Jared Goff we've seen the last 3 weeks, which has been terrible. So, I
was just about to cut you, Matt, and just say him breaking his thumb is just an excuse for him being bad. So at least he has a legitimate excuse right now. So go ahead, Matt. Continue.
Yeah, and I actually knew something was wrong on that one interception last night. But I don't see the Rams even. I really love the Rams defense. I do. I love the Rams defense, and I'm a big Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson fan, even though they've both gone down with injuries again. I just don't. I don't believe in that offense whatsoever. It goes back to the same thing I'll say about the Giants. I love their defense, but I don't believe in their offense at all. And that's kind of how I feel about the Rams as well. I think Jared Goff is the most overpaid quarterback in the NFL.
He and Carson Wentz can hold hands. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly. 1 and 2, right? No matter which way you flip it, you can argue either 1 or 2 for either of them. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Chicago backs in.
Yep, they're back in. So I like you after you told me now about my Green Bay Packers. So last part of the NFL here, give me your Super Bowl showdown and your pick.
All right. I'm actually going to shock some people here because I've been saying it the last 7 weeks. And I said there's one team that can dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. One. So I'm picking the Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl.
I like that pick.
And then I'm picking them to face the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. So Buffalo Bills, Green Bay Packers. And then that's going to come down. That game is going to come down to strictly that's going to be a defensive game. It's got to be. Which defense is going to step up and shut down either Rodgers or Allen? And it would be the same thing if the Chiefs get there. Don't get me wrong. If the Bills don't make it, the Chiefs are. That's how I feel about it. I just didn't want to be like everybody else and pick the Chiefs. And the team I see competing with the Chiefs in the AFC the most and giving any NFC team they see in the Super Bowl a problem is the Buffalo Bills. So why not? I think the Buffalo Bills could, and they could shock the world and finally get off the schneid and win a ring.
I actually with you. So I missed a question, so I guess that is a perfect segue to this one. and you've answered it already. Are the Kansas City Chiefs unbeatable?
No, and I think we've seen they can be beat. I think we've seen that they can be beat. They've won some close games. Look, I saw Mahomes do incredible things last year, but make no mistake about it, if they fall down 24-3 or down those big margins again, the thing is, I believe in this Kansas City defense. Again, I'll go back to defense all the time. I believe less in this Kansas City defense this year than obviously I believed in them in that Super Bowl season last year. And I didn't really believe in them last year until the playoffs came. And especially like the first half of games, I didn't believe in them either. I mean, the defense is so up and down. Yeah, I know they only gave up 14 points yesterday, but they were playing the Falcons. So I can't, right? But I've seen the Raiders put up big numbers on the Chiefs twice. I've seen teams get into shootouts with this team. And the Chargers played them well. There's bad teams that have played this team very well. Now I don't know if that's Kansas City playing down or those other teams playing up. But Kansas City can't afford to play down to their competition. Not with that defense. I don't think that defense is good enough to overcome big deficits again. And I think the one team that could not blow them out, but put up big numbers on them again is the Buffalo Bills. The addition of Stephon Diggs has been amazing for that team.
I'm completely with you, Matt. And here's my thing. Like, we've had evidence now. They struggled with the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons, they struggled with them. Got in a close game with the Saints. I mean, the Saints are pretty much a Super Bowl contender, so that's not bad. They lost to the Raiders and should have probably lost the second match to the Raiders as well. And I think I'm missing. They played a close game. I think they only won by 3 against the Panthers. Those same Buffalo Bills, I think it was like a very slight 2-score game. I think they won by 9.
I think it was the Chargers. They played close as well. Herbert played a great game.
Yeah, they played the Chargers. They had to come from behind against the Miami Dolphins, I think.
A couple weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Last week or 2 weeks ago, yeah.
I think Mahomes had like 3 interceptions in that game. So, yeah, they can be beaten. They can be had. And granted, I don't think the rest of the AFC outside of Buffalo can get them. But I do believe in, like you said, and here's my thing, Buffalo is playing great football without that defense being what it was last season, because I can assure you, with that defense it's playing like it is last season, I think that'd be my Super Bowl favorite, period. For whatever reason, that defense has taken a step back. But I still do believe, and I'm not saying they're going to beat Kansas City, but I do believe that they have a shot at taking them down. So, yeah, I also agree with you that Kansas City can be had. And being a homer here, I saw what the Saints did to them, and I must believe that I'm a better balanced offense than the Saints. I know thing is going to roast me when I get off of this. Adam Lewis from the Water Off Season pod, shout out to my guy. He is going to kill me for saying that. But I believe with Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Robert Tonyan, a very overlooked guy who was snubbed by the Pro Bowl. We won't get into that.
Oh,
the absolute rubbish. But I must believe that I am a more rounded offense than the New Orleans Saints. I mean, we just saw a big A.J. Dillon run for 100, a buck 20-something against the Titans. And he's our third string running back. I have to believe our offense is well-rounded. And I think we can take the Chiefs. I'm not telling you that we would. If I'm a better, I'd obviously put my money on the Kansas City Chiefs to defend, to repeat as champs. But I like my chances against them.
Yeah, no, I was on the Saints train for a long time, especially after those 2 blowout wins against the Bucks. I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? This is the team to beat in the NFC. And then I saw that defense start to struggle. And then I saw, Breeze went down. We didn't know what kind of Drew Brees we were going to get after, his Superman return from 11 rib fractures. And I just think the Saints defense has again, that's where I look. I mean, obviously, I'm still up in the air about what Drew Brees is going to show up down the stretch here and going into the playoffs. I don't know how exactly healthy he is. It still looks like he's very conservative with stepping into his throws when he sees pressure coming. rolling out. He still looks a little uncomfortable, moving and like kind of maneuvering around in the pocket. So I'm not fully sold on Drew Brees' health for the playoffs. I'm also not fully sold on that defense yet for the playoffs. Hopefully they hit their stride. I'm not rooting against the Saints. I think the Saints are probably the Packers' biggest competition in the NFC. I don't believe in Seattle at all. I'm sorry. They're just way too up and down. I'm not sorry because I think a lot of people would agree with me. But, I just, like you said, the offense of the Packers, the duo of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, historically good. I would love to see, a shootout with Rodgers, Adams, Mahomes, Hill, obviously.
I can't wait.
I would love that in the Super Bowl. Again, I just want to be different, and I think the only team that could dethrone the Chiefs would be the Buffalo Bills, for sure. And honestly, the Packers are the only team I really see, making a run in the NFC. Nobody else is a clear-cut favorite in my mind besides Green Bay.
Good man to have back on the show. You heard that, Neil? I'm not sure if you can hear that behind the scenes, but a good man to have back on the show. But really, I want to get into some NBA because you are a basketball guy.
Ooh.
First, of course, as I said, you have to put you on the spot. Who do you support in the NBA?
All right, so this is kind of crazy being from New York, living in Canada now. But from the minute Michael Jordan retired, and even a little before that, I've been a Dallas Mavericks fan. And I watched one of the original Big Threes form in Dallas with Steve Nash, Michael Finley, Dirk Nowitzki. I watched those three play basketball, man. I just fell in love. And then it's been like that ever since. And now with Luka Doncic, I mean, how can I not, and especially what they did to the Clippers yesterday, man, that was beautiful. Got some revenge.
Yeah, some revenge.
But in the offseason, I heard a lot of casual basketball fans and a lot of Mavericks fans say, oh, we're going to miss Seth Curry. You can't replace that three-point range. Listen, Josh Richardson is a dog, and I love having him on that team. And he's the defensive presence we've needed. So I got high hopes for my Mavs this year.
What about, are you worried about Kristaps Porzingis' health? Because
of course.
We've seen, okay, you're not, right? We have seen him one injury after another. But I'm with you, I even in my preseason predictions have Luka as the MVP. That is granted that Kristaps comes back and plays at some point this season. I right now I have to think. Yeah, I'm saying that Luka is my favorite player in the league right now. I really, really love Luka. I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, so
okay.
I love.
You got us on opening night then.
Yes, indeed. I absolutely love Steve Nash, so that's why I can nod my head in agreement with you with Steve Nash, Michael Finley, and Dirk Nowitzki. That is a trio. But yeah, Luka, I look at Luka, and what pisses me off is that we took DeAndre Ayton number one and let Luka pass. And we hired Luka's European coach. That baffles me. We hired the coach and then don't draft Luka Doncic. What the hell are we doing?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm glad that the Hawks thought Trae Young would be better than Luka because I'm glad that. I mean, honestly, listen, Trae Young's amazing. Trae Young's great. He's going to have a long, hopefully successful career because I don't root against anybody. I'm not that kind of fan. But I just think Luka is just in another world. He's in another world, man. His court vision, his basketball IQ, he does it all. The only thing, and I know you'll agree with this, is the Mavericks are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And the guy just can't play defense. And that's what I'm hoping it takes a leap this year and moving forward. I know defense is, a lot of people like to say that defense is slightly overrated in the NBA.
Crazy.
But those people that casually watch basketball, I've heard those words said before, and it's no. Usually the best defense ends up either in the finals or winning the finals. Look at the Miami Heat.
That's what I'm saying. And I think the addition, as you said, of Josh Richardson made, change that tide for you. And whenever you get KP back, at least that is a legit shot blocker. He's not a great perimeter. He's not good at covering pick and rolls. We all know that. He gets exposed. But he is a legit rebounder and a presence around the rim. I would just like to see Kristaps actually learn to post up.
Right.
It's beyond me for somebody at 7, whatever he is, can't post up. And I mean smaller players just can't move him. To the
Well,
point
he's trying to
where
be another
Carlisle-
Dirk, right? He's just trying to take the pressure of, this team needs another Dirk, and it's like, relax, man. There's not a lot of people that could beat Dirk, right? And a lot of people put that pressure on him, even when he was back on the Knicks.
Yep.
This guy's the next Dirk. This guy's the next Dirk. First of all, that was absolutely blasphemous.
Completely
But
agree.
with KP, they're looking at another week or two till he comes back to the lineup, and it's going to take a while for him to adjust. Remember, he got hurt during the bubble, and he hasn't played since, nursing this injury. And I just think that moving forward, like, Dwight Powell is really going to have to step up this year. It's great to see him back on the court, coming back from that huge Achilles injury. But a guy like Maxi Kleba, I'm hoping that, like, Maxi Kleba we can package for a different big man, because I don't know what Maxi Kleba is. He's listed as a center, but he's, again, like Kristaps, he's sitting on the 3-point line. So we need one of those dog big men that goes in there for the blocks, that goes in there for the rebounds, that goes in there, the hard fought. We needed a Montrez. We needed a Gobert. We need a Nikola Vucevic from Orlando. Those kind of players. A Nikola Jokic. Those kind of guys.
I kind of like Serge Ibaka, actually, for your squad. Somebody, yeah. Like, as you said, I like what the Dallas Mavericks are doing in terms of all this international talent. But in there, as you correctly said, you need a dog. You need somebody that is just going to, like, get dirty. Like, and we saw the Lakers have Dwight Howard for that role and stuff. So you need somebody that's just going to make it uncomfortable in the paint.
Right, exactly. And we don't have that presence right now. I hate to say it, Maxi Kleba plays soft. Dwight Powell is the only one that shows, like, real fight, but he plays a little soft. And again, he's coming back from injury. And like we've said before, KP is 7'1", and he's sitting on the 3-point line, or loving that elbow jumper, from the elbow of the foul line. So is what it is.
And the thing is, they have no problem because that's the skill set. But it can't be a situation where you have guys almost a half foot shorter than you, and then they're marking you. Like, at some point, you have to be able to put your body on someone, because, like, it's fine that you're a great jump shooter, but, like, then you also have to be able to exploit mismatches. So with that said, then, give me your, I don't want to say it because it's a lot. Give me your kind of playoff breakdown, if you can, West versus East.
I really like the from 1 through 8. You're going to see a lot of competition in both conferences. I think that we have a shot at seeing 4, even 5 teams that missed the playoffs last year make the playoffs this year. I'm talking about the Washington Wizards. They got a shot. I'm talking about that much improved Atlanta Hawks team. I'm talking about your Phoenix Suns, the Pelicans. All these guys, all these teams have the talent to make the playoffs. Now, whether they deliver on that or not remains to be seen. We're only 3 or 4 games in. What I like early is what I'm seeing from the Brooklyn Nets in the East. And obviously, KD and Kyrie, KD and Kyrie coming back have been great, but it's more what I'm seeing when they're not on the court that I love what I'm seeing. And that's KD and Kyrie in these guys' faces in a good way, talking to them, breaking stuff down. You see KD pull Karis LeVert to the side every time there's a timeout. And you watch Karis LeVert play a little bit. Whose game does it remind you of? A young KD. A little bit. I mean, he doesn't have the height and the length, obviously. No one does. But if you watch his moves, the way he attacks the hoop, the way he can pull up and shoot, Karis LeVert looks like a very young version of Kevin Durant. And I'm talking to DeAndre Jordan taking guys like Jared Allen under his wing. Love what the Brooklyn Nets got going on. I think we have a real beast in the East.
So then, I think by your words, you've said it. You wouldn't trade for James Harden if you were the Brooklyn Nets.
No, I think you're just going to ruin what you got going on in that locker room, and I don't think you can. No. And honestly, what I've seen come out about Harden these past few weeks, I don't know anybody who would give up too much to get him, because apparently he's been a real problem for that Houston Rockets organization.
Yeah, I think he's actually just doing his most to force his way out. Neil
Which
and
is
I
something you don't want.
Yeah, you really don't. Neil and I have been on the show on record talking to another friend of saying, as much as they want to see it just for the drama, because they want it for the drama and nothing else alone, what I've seen so far for the Brooklyn Nets tells me look at James Harden and leave him absolutely where he is. Like, see that and leave that alone.
They don't need him. The way they move the ball on offense, the way they are just running their plays, they're getting everybody involved. I'm seeing Jared Allen just dropping dimes over it. Like, it's amazing what I'm seeing. And obviously Kyrie's playing it. I don't know if he can sustain it for a whole season, but right now, if we were to stop the season, Kyrie gets MVP.
That is a fact. And I didn't think I'd see this Kyrie Irving again. So I want to say, like, granted, like, if I am Houston, I'm making that trade, because if I can get Jared Allen, if I can get Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert and those 4 first-round draft picks that they're offering, if I'm Houston, I'm taking that in a heartbeat. Like, I don't know what package trumps that. But as you correctly said, like, my biggest thing is that James Harden does not know how to be a complementary player. James Harden can't play off the ball. James Harden doesn't spot up. James Harden does not cut. So why do I want this guy come into a situation where obviously I have 2 alpha males already in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and you can't play off those guys and you're going to want the ball and it has to be James Harden's show?
No. And it looks like Steve Nash really has these guys' ear. He really is working with these guys. And like I said, man, I think that 5 off the bench for the Nets could be a starting 5 anywhere else. It's just the fact that you got KD and Kyrie mixed in there.
I'm saying, like, we could go on and on, Matt, but I think we agree here. Like, you just keep that group intact and see how it goes.
Yeah, see, you don't need somebody like Harden who needs everything catered to him on and off the court, coming in and messing up the chemistry that clearly you're building. So.
But thank you so much. As I say, I could go on and on. So we're going to get you on for an NBA episode and not just NFL, because clearly we have a lot to discuss where the NBA is concerned. So we'll show you again couple episodes down the road. But again, I must thank you, Matt, for coming on. Please, like, tell the fans are on now how to find you and what content you have coming out shortly.
So as Justin, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute blast. I love talking to you, man. Thank you to Neil behind the scenes there. It was a pleasure to meet you as well. Thank you for all you do for Justin. His stuff is great. Your guys' stuff is awesome. So wanted to make sure I give you a shout out there.
Thank you so
and
much,
as Justin alluded to before, I am the producer of The Ryan Show FM. We sit on about 300 FM and internet radio stations around the globe. I mean, we got a lot of great stuff going on. The show is hosted, like I said, by 90s hip-hop icon Mr. Cheeks, along with Ryan Vernell and Hampton Steve. And we got a lot of great stuff coming up with that. You can find me at Mac Daddy The Ryan Show, but please make sure you visit at The Ryan Show, at The Ryan Show FM. Again, we got a lot of great stuff going on. You can find us across all media platforms, and you can go to theryanshow.net or theryanshow.fm for our listening schedule, for all the stations you can catch us on in your area. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
You heard the guy. Please go visit The Ryan Show and stick with us. You know, Thursdays we do our live with Adam Lewis from the Water Off Season podcast. But that is it for now, because I can tell that Marsha's there screaming, Justin, get this show finished, please. That is our original host, by the way. So yes, for my guy Nick Matt, I am Justin of this Justin. I'm here messing up my own title. We're signing out for tonight. Thank you so much, Matt. Peace out.
I don't have a mark on my face, and I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with me, ain't nobody here better than me. I still got the world. I still got the world. I still got the world.
I said, can I be a legend? Search your soul and answer me this question. Do you think I have what it takes to be great, but still be humble and learn from my mistakes? Shit.